Hello guys, we are back again for another 10 games that have been brought into VR via an official release, community modifications, and or other means so we can play some of our favourite flat screen games in virtual reality. The last video, part 1, many of you said there were too many shooters, so this time I'm going for a much deeper experience for you all. But if you like shooters, be sure to check out part 1, I'll link that down below in the description. So no time to waste because we have VR games to play. Also comment anything I don't mention in this video. There could be something I'll add to a future one. Click subscribe and let's get started. No Man's Sky, starting off with a really big moment if you were in the VR space for the past few years. We got such a huge expansive world where we could embody the explorer, and that's just stuck with me. The visuals do take a huge hit compared to the flat screen version, but you do get to enjoy full motion control support, and a game where you can spend forever in with ease. In it you'll explore hidden caverns, gather resources, improve your tools, and build a base with a procedurally generated, ever-expanding universe. My favourite part of this game, which if you haven't played, this will give you chills. It's getting in your ship and flying out of the planet's atmosphere into space, engaging in a space dogfight, blasting away asteroids so they don't destroy your ship, and then flying down into another planet and landing your ship on it, and then going exploring. It is incredible. The game has had tons of updates since its release as well. It now has some really cool action-packed missions with a story, and living ships. You can grow your own ship. So this is an official release, I'll link it down below in the description. Ocarina of Time. This is a modification allowing you to play the N64 classic Ocarina of Time. If you've got an Ocarina, it's a good time to whip it out. Brian MP16, a big thank you to you for this modification supporting 60OF, head tracking, and motion controls. But not everything is motion controlled, sadly, just some of the basics like slashing a sword. The HUD does remain fixed while you look around the world, but the world itself does surround you, but it's in the visuals of the N64, so it doesn't look that great in virtual reality. I would definitely appreciate a HD texture pack for this game. A few things are required for you to run this game. You need the Dolphin emulator, the Ocarina of Time game, and the modification. You also need a decent machine for this one, because there seems to be some optimization problems when running VR through the Dolphin emulator. So be careful when you're playing this game, especially if you have motion sickness, because in my experience with this title, the frame rate is not as smooth as modern games, and textures can pop during cutscenes and disorientate you. So hopefully you've got a decent machine and you can enjoy the entire game here in VR. I'll link everything you need down below in the description. Firewatch, a mod that was one of the most sought after for a little while. So credit goes to Recupata, if I said that wrong I apologise, for the modification code, which is also codenamed Two Forks. This mod has had a major release as well, so you can expect a great degree of reliability in this title. Firewatch is a slow story-driven narrative set in Wyoming, where you are protecting the forest from wildfires. You also have a walkie-talkie with your boss on the other end, and when things go wrong, you start to uncover some mysteries. And it's a good play, but it's very emotional if you get invested. But I don't want to spoil it because it's one of the main things about this title. The art style as well is also fantastic. It has that, it looks realistic but also looks animated vibe, and I just adore that. Fun fact as well, the developers of this title ended up working on Half-Life Alyx. For the modification, you will need to access the Patreon of Rye, but it's super cheap. I think it's about £1, and you can enjoy many mods there too, not just this one. I'll link down below in the description. GTFO, get the out. This is an action-packed title, a cooperative horror shooter, my favourite genre in flat screen gaming and VR gaming. This was a great game before it was even possible to play in VR. You take on levels called expeditions, leading you further and further down into a facility which is packed full of experiments which you have the pleasure of blowing apart. A big thank you to D Spartan for the modification, which is linked down below in the description. This game is motion control supported as well, with B haptic support, so if you have a vest for a deeper immersion, whack it on. The game will take a decent rig to run though, because this is a modern title with decent visuals, so if you're rocking minimum VR specs, you may have a hard time trying to get this one running. Doom 3. This one is available natively on your Quest headset, thanks to the epic work from Bumser and Dr. Beef & Co. for one of the longest single-player campaigns, one of the prettiest and full VR experiences you can get natively on the Quest platform. 3 took a different turn for the Doom franchise. It's gone 3D, it's taken more of a horror thriller shooter approach, such as flashlights in the dark, and as a creature jumps out, you can just blow them away with a shotgun. So you're on Mars in a research facility, and they've released demons onto the station, which in true Doom fashion means it's time for you to kick some A and let the heavy metal begin. It is full 60OF and motion controlled as well, and runs incredibly smoothly, as do all of the Dr. Beef mods. So if you like gore, a little thrill, and a shooter, and a bargain, this is perfect. So I'll link my video down below in the description on how to set this up with a HD texture pack so it looks even better. Left 4 Dead 2 VR. If you like cooperative shooters, recently a new mod has dropped for one of my favourite cooperative games of my childhood, Left 4 Dead 2, that I played continuously on the 360. This is set in the southern states of the USA, and you'll take on hordes and hordes of zombies in this creepy, gory shooter with up to 3 other players. However, going online to enjoy this game as a multiplayer experience, with the modded version of this title, you do risk being banned. So avoid the risk and just enjoy this game single player. And when you set up the mod, there are instructions on how to mitigate this, so just make sure you read the instructions when trying to apply this mod. Big thank you to SD805 for making this possible, after it was rumoured a while back that Valve were actually going to do a Left 4 Dead VR release, and then didn't. This is motion control supported if you're shooting weapons, so you can aim wherever you want, but opening doors and actions are still button presses. I also discovered on this GitHub, he mentions Team Fortress 2 VR. So if you're into that, there's also a Team Fortress VR mod there as well. Valheim, a community favourite, a game set in the Nordic realm, a procedurally generated world where you can explore, build, craft and survive as a team as well, as you take on stunningly designed creatures. I love Viking culture and mythology as well, so this game appeals to me. Each world can have up to 10 players in it, so you and a whole family can get together in VR and play this game. It is motion control supported as well, so you can reach out and grab a rock or a berry. It's packed full of RPG elements, but slightly different because you use items to increase your stats rather than just gaining experience points. It's a huge open world as well, the kind of game that once you start playing in VR, you could spend all day in, no problem. Just as long as your face can take the pressure. Each environment has a different boss, and if you defeat them, it can actually have unexpected knock-on effects through your game, which is a common theme in this title, that your actions have consequences. Certain areas can be very difficult, so leveling up, upgrading, making potions are so important, but it's that side of this game that takes a lot of time. It's that kind of style. I'll link the modification down below in the description. Mech Warrior 5. It's a great time for mech games with Vox, Ultimex, and another game which I just dropped on the channel. So this is Mech Warrior 5, released only last year, so it is relatively new, which also means your PC will need a little more juice than usual to run this in VR if you've got minimum specs. It's set in the year 3015, and instead of Terminators, we have mech industry giants. This game has a single-player, objective-based mode, as you try to become the leader of a mech empire and ride them into battle. There are over 50 mech chassis and tons of tweaks and variants to make the mech your own. There is also a PvE cooperative mode, so you and up to 3 other friends, so 4 players in total, can be a little mech squad and take on other bots. So if you're into this one, I'll link it down below in the description, but please read the instructions. There's so many tips here that I'll link down below that will annoy you if you don't read them whilst playing the game. Life is Strange Before the Storm. A much slower paced experience, but a big one from a studio that brought us games like Final Fantasy. But this time is a Telltale experience in virtual reality, for Life is Strange Before the Storm is a prequel, so you could play this one, then play the first one if you want to have the true order of the experience. And you play as Chloe, a 16-year-old girl who makes friends with someone else, and things get a little hairy. But no spoilers, it is a Telltale, and a BAFTA-winning one at that, so the story is important. In-game, you'll decide the path of the story, making tough decisions, so there's a little pressure on the choices you make whilst playing this game because it will affect the world around you. Seeing it unfold because of the decisions you made is actually rewarding, but it is a slow burner before you get to that point. The game is also motion controlled as well, so you can move your arms about, but you'll still have to press buttons for certain actions. But cutscenes are not in virtual reality, sadly. But you do get a nice big IMAX screen to see what's going on. A big thank you to Trev TV for this modification, and again, I'll link it down below. Risk of Rain 2, one to get really excited for. Risk of Rain 2. As a flat screen game, this title is fantastic, a community favourite, where you're trying to escape this strange world you find yourself on, as you've just crash landed there. But in doing so, you come across crazy boss fights, tons of creatures that are trying to stop you. And you can take this game on as a single player experience, or you can play with friends and make it cooperative. The art style alone is a reason to get excited and try this title. I'm a huge fan of this cel-shaded anime in 3D painted kind of look. A big thank you for the modder Dr. Bebop for this one, as it does support 60OF and full motion control support as well. You even see the hints that pop up on what buttons to press are of your VR controller. The style in VR and the style of combat with the abilities remind me of Zenith slightly, with a powerful ability and evade ability, but not in an MMO, and the game gets rather hairy here. It's like a rainstorm of bullets, and the shooting doesn't feel like pew pew, which does sadden me in other shooters. A fantastic title. So that's it from me today, guys. I'll link all of the mods and the repositories down below, everything you're going to need, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Not so packed with just shooters this time, a great mix, and this could be one of my favourite mod lists yet, some great experiences. I still have over 20 more flat screen to VR mods, and we've already gone over 20, so please subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out, and stick around for that next video. And also check out part 1 for another 10. Hopefully, I will see you next time. Have a great week, happy gaming, good day!